He caught up with Chiara, Jaia and her companion in a matter of minutes. Every fibre of his being screamed at him to ride on, to keep riding as far and fast as he could, to leave Jaia behind. Fleeing her would rip him apart, he knew. Yet that torment would be 100 times more bearable than what he knew awaited him when finally they spoke face to face. Despite himself, he slowed Elevast to match Chiara's pace. She glanced over at him with an eyebrow raised in question. He shook his head and shouted, "Not yet! Not until we've put at least a league between us and them." He didn't glance back at Jaia or her companion. He couldn't bring himself to. Not yet. If they wanted to stop and risk being attacked, that was on their heads. But they didn't argue his words, simply kept pace with him and Chiara. A run-in with a group of secret keepers could shake even the fiercest heart, watered down even the staunchest courage. The twisting in the hunter's belly was proof of that. They rode for the better part of an hour, never stopping all the while, not even when their mounts began to tire. They merely slowed to a fast walk to allow the horses a few minutes to recover. The hunter spent those minutes riding stiff-backed and staring straight ahead. Chiara seemed to sense his turmoil and said nothing, to him or Jaia. For her part, Jaia and her companion showed no signs of attempting to engage with them. The rest of the afternoon passed in that fashion, until finally the sun began to set in earnest, and the approaching darkness forced the hunter to seek out somewhere to stop for the night. He settled on a small grove amidst a stand of quiverleaf fig trees. The fruits were in season despite the lateness of the year. Though winter was but a month or two away in the south, this far north, the weather would never turn chilly enough for snow. The thick-trunked trees, with their low-hanging branches, would offer both shelter from the wind and concealment from the secret keeper's inevitable pursuit. The hunter's elbow no longer pained him when he swung down from his horse. A strange tightness in his right arm drew his attention. He found 3 loops of thin black rope encircling the wrist of his sword-arm, the rope with which the secret keeper had unhorsed him. The creaking of leather and the swish of fabric sounded nearby. Jaia and her companion dismounting, no doubt. The rope around his wrist suddenly consumed his attention. He fixated on it, couldn't tear his eyes from it, as if it were the most fascinating thing in the world. A part of him wished the voices in his head would return. Much as he hated their scolding and mocking, they'd make plain what he knew to be true. He was terrified. Terrified of what would happen the moment he looked up and met Jaia's eyes. Coward fool! He had stared down demons, mighty monsters, and creatures that wielded the power of gods. He'd walked into certain death countless times and never backed down. Why, then, was he so afraid of facing his daughter?